In a misty seaside town where waves crashed against the rugged cliffs, an old fisherman named Thomas was known for carrying a small yet sturdy oil lamp wherever he went. The lamp, though unremarkable in appearance, was well worn from years of use. Its glass was slightly fogged, and its brass handle bore the marks of time. However, what made this lamp special was not how it looked, but what it represented. Whenever someone in town faced grief, hardship, or despair, Thomas would visit them, light his lamp, and sit quietly by their side. Somehow, his presence and the warm glow of the lamp seemed to ease their burdens, bringing comfort on even the coldest of nights. One stormy evening, a young woman named Claire arrived at Thomas's doorstep, her coat soaked from the relentless rain. She had once been a passionate artist, but now she felt lost. Disappointment and self-doubt weighed heavily on her shoulders. No matter how hard she tried, success seemed to elude her, while others around her thrived. As she looked at Thomas, exhaustion evident in her eyes, she hesitated before speaking. "I've heard your lamp helps people," Claire said, her voice thick with frustration. "But I don't see how light can change what's broken inside me." Thomas smiled gently, his weathered face illuminated by the firelight. "It's not the lamp itself that makes a difference," he said. "It's what it represents. Come, let me show you something." Though unsure, Claire followed him as he handed her the lamp and led her into the rain-slicked streets. The storm had softened into a misty drizzle, and the salty sea breeze brushed against her face. Their first stop was a small cottage at the edge of a town where an elderly man lived alone. His wife had passed years ago, and he rarely left his home. Without a word, Thomas placed the lamp on the doorstep, lit it, and knocked gently before stepping back. Claire frowned. "Why did you leave it here?" Thomas smiled knowingly. "He spends his nights in silence, missing what he lost. This light reminds him that he's not forgotten." As they continued walking, the glow of the lamp cast flickering shadows along the cobbled streets. They arrived at a modest home, where a struggling single mother lived with her 2 children. The house was dark, save for a dim candle flickering inside. Thomas placed the lamp on their windowsill, whispering, "This light will remind her that kindness still exists, even in difficult times." Claire sighed, rubbing her arms against the cold. "That's thoughtful, but what does this have to do with me?" She shook her head. "My struggle is different. I feel stuck in a life that's unfair. No matter what I do, I never seem to get ahead. It's exhausting watching others succeed while I stay behind." Thomas turned to her, his gaze steady and calm. "You feel trapped because you focus on what you lack, not on what you have. Gratitude is like this lamp. It reveals the good that still exists, even in the darkest places. Without it, you will always feel lost." Claire scoffed, but said nothing as they returned to his small cottage. Inside, the warmth of the fire wrapped around her like a blanket. Thomas handed her the lamp once more. "Tonight," he said, "I want you to think of just one thing you're grateful for. When you find it, light the lamp." Claire sighed and nodded, unsure whether she would even try. That night, alone in her small studio apartment, Claire sat in silence, staring at the unlit lamp. She wanted to prove there was nothing to be grateful for, but her mind wouldn't let go of the idea. Slowly, memories surfaced. She thought of her grandfather, who had always encouraged her art. She could still hear his voice telling her that her talent mattered, that she had something special to offer the world. He had believed in her even when she didn't believe in herself. A lump formed in her throat, and for the first time in a long while, she smiled. A genuine, quiet smile. She struck a match and lit the lamp. Over the following weeks, Claire made it a habit to reflect on gratitude. Each night, she lit the lamp and thought of one thing, no matter how small, that was good in her life. At first, it was difficult, but gradually the list grew. She appreciated the warmth of her home, the kindness of a stranger who held the door open for her, the way the ocean sparkled under the morning sun. Slowly, her perspective began to change. The bitterness she once carried started to fade. She realized she was no longer consumed by resentment, but rather she felt lighter, more hopeful. She even began helping others just as Thomas had. She left lamps at the doorsteps of those struggling. Her elderly neighbor, a friend going through heartbreak, a street musician who played despite the cold. One evening, as she placed a lamp on a young girl's windowsill, she felt something unexpected. Fulfillment. Years later, when Thomas passed away, the townspeople discovered countless lamps he had gifted over the years, each one carrying his quiet legacy of kindness and gratitude. Claire, now older and wiser, became the new bearer of the original lamp. Just as Thomas had done for her, she continued the tradition, spreading warmth to those who needed it most. Gratitude, like a lamp, has the power to guide us through life's darkest storms. It does not erase hardship, but it shifts our focus, reminding us of what remains rather than what is lost. And when we embrace gratitude, we do not just find peace, we become the light that helps others find their way. So believe, grow, and inspire. Nothing can stop you. This story is to fuel your day. Thank you so much for watching and stay blessed.